So it's been a while since we posted, and I wanted to provide an update and some reasons why. Things started pretty much in the fall of 2025, and I did want to provide a trigger warning about a car collision and a couple of unrelated loss of loved ones. So in the fall, I kind of hit like a wall. I just had no desire to work on videos or record anything. I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling a lot of things. So kind of been working through that. We were also spending time with our new grandbaby and granddaughters and enjoying that time. And it wasn't really anything we wanted to record. We do like to keep our family private for the most part. Just to keep some separation between these videos and stuff that we enjoy in life. October, we did do the Halloween stuff and we did post those videos. But other than that, there's a lot of just daily stuff that I didn't think was worthy of recording. I don't know if anyone's interested in just watching me cook the same things and do the same things every day and try to find workouts. That's just kind of what we were doing. I had plans in December. There were holiday things going on in the places that we were staying that I was going to record, but the weather was not cooperative at all. We were in San Francisco. We wanted to go to a couple Christmas markets, but it rained the whole time we were there. We did try to go to a Christmas market. The vendors were sparse. The activities were also sparse because of the rain. So I did do some recording, but it wasn't even worth showing. So I kind of just ditched the footage. There was another Christmas market near San Francisco, but we couldn't actually find it because there was no actual address given. It was like a parking lot, and we couldn't even find the parking lot or parking that was big enough for the RV that was even close to where we thought it was going to be. Then New Year's Eve rolls around. We were in Las Vegas. They always do a pretty cool firework and drone show, and I do have some footage of it, but it was also rainy then, and because of Vegas weather, it was foggy all day and even into the evening. So if I can get a hold of the video footage, unfortunately I left it somewhere and I haven't been able to get back to that place at this point. But if I do get that footage, I'll probably put it here so that you guys can see the footage we didn't get, basically. So January comes. I was scheduled to have surgery. I have a condition that started in childhood called leg calf Perthes disease, or most people just call it Perthes disease. In short, it's the blood vessels get constricted and they cut off the blood flow to the femoral ball of your hip. Sometimes it happens in both hips, sometimes just one. Mine was just the right hip. But they found it when I was 4.5. They had a brace that kept my legs at a certain angle, and I had to wear that all day, every day for 2.5 years, except for when I bathed. I even had to wear it when I was sleeping. So as a small child, I was obviously not super happy with that and the lack of mobility. But once I got out of the brace, I was able to lead a pretty normal childhood. However, once I hit my early 40s, I just was getting a lot of aches and pains, and my mobility was becoming less and less. And, we tried physical therapy, we tried some other things, and nothing was working. And so between my doctor and then she referred me to a surgeon who had also tried some other things, and we decided that a hip replacement was really my only option, definitely my best option to regain some mobility and quality of life, because it's really hard to exercise when you can't move your hip right, because it's like super stiff and it just won't go. When you look at the x-rays, you can see it was definitely deformed and misshapen, and just an all-around kind of crappy thing to be dealing with every day. Anyways, I was scheduled to have surgery in January. My friend came to visit, so we made the most of it while she was here. My surgeon that I originally had, his wife ended up having a baby early, so we had to reschedule the surgery for April. In the time between January and April, and we rescheduled that because we had planned some trips for after the surgery that we decided, since the surgery wasn't happening, we were going to go ahead and keep the trips. And then the next time we were going to be in Vegas was April, so that's why we rescheduled for April. But in that time, the surgeon that was supposed to do the surgery left the practice, and what that meant for me was I was either going to have to find a whole new place that insurance would cover, or meet with a new surgeon either way. So I decided to stay with the facility that we were at, just with a new surgeon. So I kind of had to start some of the process over, thankfully not everything. Met with the surgeon. We were able to keep the schedule very similar to what I had originally planned, which was nice. But in January, I got a call that a family member had passed away, and while it wasn't a major blip on the radar, obviously that sort of affects you because it still is kind of one more thing added to everything else that's going on in one's life. February, since we were waiting for the surgery, we took time in California to relax and figure out our next steps for the year, and try to plan for the surgery and what that was going to mean for aftercare and recovery. March was dealing with a lot of phone calls and scheduling with the new surgeon. Still spending some time in California, but we didn't really do anything that, again, was worth recording, or we hadn't recorded before, and I didn't want to repeat the same things too often, especially if events haven't changed or things haven't changed in the things that we had recorded previously. During that time, I was having a lot of calls back to the Midwest, where a lot of family is, because another family member had been in and out of the hospital since January. That family member passed mid-March, early March, so I ended up flying back alone for the funeral, and then just dealing with the loss of another loved one. And obviously that didn't leave me in a place that I felt like recording or even working on the things that I had already recorded. So that was definitely something that prevented, me posting videos. But that brings us to April. I had flown back from the Midwest back to California. We packed up the RV and we're driving back to Vegas so that I could meet for the pre-op appointment with the surgeon. And on our way, we got into a wreck on the freeway. There was this giant piece of debris. It was cylindrical, had orange on it, but it was silver. I don't know. I don't know what it was. Unfortunately, our dash cam wasn't working at the time, so we weren't able to get it recorded. We were in not the very right lane, but the lane next to it. There was traffic on both sides of us, and this piece of debris was bouncing around on the highway. At first it looked like it was gonna bounce around us, but then it bounced towards us. There was nowhere for us to go. So we ended up hitting it. It was rather large. It hit the RV so hard that our seatbelts locked up. The airbags didn't deploy, thankfully, but it did trigger the automatic SOS system on the Mercedes chassis. So were on the side of the road. We were finally able to get someone to tow it. We had it towed to a nearby collision repair place. The collision repair place that works on RVs, where they had to, we had to work with the insurance, get the estimates of the repairs and everything. And they worked on, getting the parts and everything. Obviously, in the meantime, because that is basically our home, we've been staying in hotels, but we had to leave it in California. So that means we ended up renting a car, and we drove to Vegas, rented a hotel in Vegas, rescheduled the pre-op because it was supposed to be the next day, and we obviously weren't going to make it that day. Thankfully, I was still able to get it just before the original scheduled April surgery. So the surgery happened on April 8th. And I got a total hip replacement. Surgery went well. It lasted like 3 hours, although I was really, really tired and groggy afterwards. But they had me up a couple hours after the surgery because that's what they do with hip replacements. They want to make sure that you're walking as soon as possible for recovery. And then I've been working with physical therapy and, trying to keep mobile and do more and more every day since then. I'm really glad that the surgery went well. I will say that afterwards I had lost my appetite. Before they gave me these wipes to clean off with after showering the night before. And if you ever have to do this, I don't recommend shaving your legs just before you use these wipes because my legs were so itchy after using those wipes. It was crazy. Did not like that. But and then they also gave me these Ensure drinks. So I wasn't allowed to eat for just before the surgery, but I did have to drink these Ensure drinks. They made me super nauseous. Thankfully, once we got to the hospital that morning, they gave me some anti-nausea medication, so that helped a lot. But anyways, sorry this is sort of all over the place timeline-wise. But yeah, did the surgery, everything went smoothly. I now have a new hip, and so far it's feeling a lot better. Yeah, the PT I'm doing a lot in hotel, and then when I can get to the PT place, I do also physical therapy there. Currently, we're still waiting on one more part for the RV, and that is frustrating because we've been in the hotel now for 6 weeks, I think, 7 weeks. I don't know. It's been a while, and it's expensive. I guess the one thing we've been able to kind of save a little bit of money because we haven't had to eat out because we're staying in a hotel that's got a small kitchenette. So I've been able to, once I felt better, cook the meals, most of the meals, and then they do a free breakfast at this hotel, which is nice because that, at the end of the day, we're paying for the free breakfast with the cost of the hotel room. But I mean, I guess it's, you kind of got to balance things out where you can. But we're crossing our fingers that they get this part soon and we can get the RV back and get on the road. Our plans once we get the RV back is to pull some things out of storage and then head back to the Midwest for this summer to do some beach camping, spend more time with family, and obviously continue with my recovery. But that's what's been going on. That's what we've been dealing with for a while now. A lot of it's been pretty heavy stuff, not stuff I really wanted to go into detail with, obviously, with the family stuff. But we've been just trying to get by on some days. That being said, we are grateful that we were not hurt in the accident. Didn't seem like anyone was. There were cars behind us that had flat tires. There were a couple other cars that got towed away from this piece of debris. Fortunately, I wasn't able to find it after we pulled the RV over. We got out to try to assess the damage and talk to some other people that pulled behind us to make sure they were okay. But it was emotionally kind of devastating to have it happen like that. That timing, have it happen at all, just kind of a freak thing. But again, I'm glad that nobody seemed to be majorly hurt, including us. Also grateful, I guess, that this sort of forced us to slow down on the traveling so that I had more time to recover after the surgery. Unfortunately, the expense is more than we planned, but we're making the most of it, and we're trying to stay positive about things. I mean, that's what we do. We try to find the positives and keep our chins up. We're hoping for better things in the future, and you know, once we get the RV back, I think that'll help a lot, you know, keeping our attitudes up. I'm excited to see family again, and that's where we're at. I do, you know, want to keep recording videos and posting videos, but it may be slower for a while. But I wanted to get this out and say we're not abandoning the channel or anything like that. It's just some things I didn't want to talk about, and some things I didn't know how to talk about. So anyways, this has been kind of a sober video, but I hope you all have a good time and good days, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching this one. Bye.